Welcome to another episode of Ananda Marga Dharmacast. This is a podcast series looking at various topics of spirituality, drawing on the wisdom of Sri Sri Anandamurti. And I'm your host, Dada Veda Pragyananda, or many people call me Dada Veda. Whichever one you do, it's fine. Today, the topic that we're looking at is how to overcome fear. Now, one way to look at it is that fear is a natural instinct. It's part of all animals have it, and we're, in one sense, we're an animal. But we're more than an animal too. We have a divine nature, a divine possibility. And if we exercise that, we can overcome fear. And in this context, I'd like to read one paragraph from a discourse of Sri Sri Anandamurti, and where he sets it out. He says, a person who has realized Brahma or God as the embodiment of bliss fears nothing in this universe. One of the major enemies of human beings is fear. And due to fear, much human capacity is wasted, and the development of the human personality is retarded. Yet, it is not difficult to overcome fear. One has simply to take refuge in Paramapurusha, the Supreme Consciousness. I will not say that this is the best way, it is the only way. So how to do that? How to take refuge in the Supreme Consciousness? This is the thing. So there's a few ways to look at it. One thing to remember is, and this is really what yoga is all about. Yoga is about the realization that inside of each one of us, there is the divine. We have a divine nature. And because of that, we're never alone or helpless. So let's say you're facing an enemy of 100 people and you're one. So it's 100 against one. But it's not 100 against one. It's 100 against one plus one, because the plus there is your true nature. It's the Supreme Consciousness, which is helping you and guiding you. So this is why, if we remember this, if we can always remember this, and this cannot be done by strictly through intellectual pursuit. There's a practice to do that. But if we can remember that and take strength from that, then we can overcome fear. Now, how does that work? You know, some people look at the universe in a peculiar way. It's not a peculiar, it's quite I think in the modern times, it's quite a common way. They're willing to say, yeah, maybe God created this universe. But now, that was long ago, in biblical times, who knows? But now he's far away, and we're on our own. But this is not what the yoga philosophy says. The yoga philosophy says that the Supreme Consciousness of God is connected with this universe in two ways. One way, they call this Ota Yoga. Ota Yoga means that God is the nucleus, not only of the universe, but of each individual being. So your nucleus is not just what the scientists will say. They look at the cells. No, it's the cells, the chemical structure of the cells is not the nucleus. The nucleus is the Paramapurusha, the Supreme Consciousness, residing within each one of us. So if we remember that, and we draw on that strength, then we're never alone or helpless, and fear will be vanquished. So that's why. So the Supreme Consciousness is connected vitally and intimately with every living being of this universe. So that's one way. And the second thing to remember is sometimes we say that, okay, in my personal life, you know, I can handle this stuff. But then you look at the world situation and the wars that are going on, the nuclear danger, the climate catastrophe, we could think of so many other catastrophes, and then we think we're doomed. And here, there's a second way so God is not snoozing off, in the corner. No, he's connected. And he's connected in a second way, which is called Prokta Yoga. Prokta Yoga means that the Supreme Consciousness of God or Brahma, whatever you want to call that entity, that Supreme Consciousness is the nucleus of this entire universe and is watching over the welfare of this entire universe. And according to the Indian scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita, it says there, when Dharma or spirituality is threatened, when it loses its proper place, then the Supreme Consciousness says, I come personally to aid the good people to overcome all suffering, to overcome all difficulty. So that's what it says there. But what Srishnanandamurti also says is that even if it's not there in a form that you can say a savior or a messiah, still that Supreme Consciousness is looking after this universe, is connected with it, and will help us. So if we remember these things, we can overcome fear in our individual life and even in our collective life. That's why we can keep a positive outlook. And if we keep a positive outlook, we can accomplish many things. One part of that first paragraph, which I didn't include because it's a parenthetical, would break the stream, but he said that if you realize Brahma, then you can overcome fear. But then in the parentheses he says, but that cannot be done by book knowledge or just like that. So what that means is that you have to use your yogic strength, and that means to remember the Supreme Consciousness is always with you. Now, to remember that the Supreme Consciousness is always with you, as I said before, we have to use some special method, not just to read about it. You read about it once, this cosmic consciousness, and then everything will be okay. No, it will not be okay. So what we have to do is make a practice. And I've mentioned this in my very last previous podcast about auto-suggestion and outer suggestion. We have to take the auto-suggestion, the meditative method, and remember who you really are, who we really are. And when you remember that, and you remember what your nucleus is, then you will remain connected, and fear will vanish because you have the supreme force of this universe is what's guiding you. So this is the means, the yogic means of overcoming fear. So take it to heart, give it a try, practice it. So that's all I want to say in this particular episode. And if you like what you're listening to, then if you're on any audio podcast forum, then subscribe. And if you're able to, give it a thumbs up, give it a positive rating. And if you're watching here on YouTube or a video channel, then subscribe to the channel and give it a like and do all those things. And if you have any questions or queries or even suggest a topic for us to address in a future podcast, then leave a comment or send a message to info@dharmacast.com. And speaking about dharmacast.com, there you will find the repository of all the audio podcasts that we have done in the past 6 years. And there are several, many of them, they cover a wide variety of topics. So that's all for today, and thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. And I bid you namaskar, and this is the yoga greeting. It means I salute you with my mind and all the love and cordiality of my heart. See you again soon.